Well, I want to welcome you to another episode of Leadership in Tough Places. We've developed this resource to serve and help others who are leading in challenging or difficult environments. Our church, Block Church, we are in the urban center metropolis of Philadelphia. And so we're learning things. We've learned a few things. We just want to give that back to you. And so today, I want to teach with our staff. I want to do a talk, and I'm titling this talk, Growing Up. Growing Up. And I really have felt impressed to do a talk about this for a few reasons. Okay, first, the world has changed a lot. We've all gotten older. And also, I think our church and our ministry and the organization we lead has changed a lot, and it's growing a lot. And so because of that, I felt it really important to circle back as to how we got here, okay? So, and why growing up needed to happen. All right, so let's jump back. 2014, we started our church. I was 28. Very young, and also no kids, and very new. And so whenever you're something very new and young, naturally there is going to be a gravitation towards excitement, young people, and lots of energy. And so that all was helpful. We used that all to our advantage. We could go all day long. We could do 27 services. It was all exciting. People had energy. And especially even all right, so a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, we had 100 baptisms in one day. Our first baptisms we ever had, we had 13 baptisms. But early on, today, if we had only 13 baptisms, we would be, really depressed about that. But early on, those 13 baptisms was crazy, and we were so excited, and it was new. And so what happens as you go and grow and get older, it's easy for excitement and energy to wane. And so you have to recapture that in all areas of your ministry, and it goes probably in all areas of your life. And you just kind of have to keep stirring the momentum. And so pre-pandemic, like most people, pre-2020, or like most growing churches, doing really well, hitting record numbers, obviously. And I don't want to go back to this, but it is a good, jumping point where, the world obviously changed since 2020. And I saw a meme the other day, and someone said 2020 to right now as like a time warp. And I've lived 4 lives since then. And I think it's true, because even in my own life, my wife and I, we've changed so much since then. We had another kid, we moved, I aged, Lauren did not, and I shaved my head. A lot of different lives, a lot of different looks. But some other things that happened since then, right? The economy is way worse now. Or at least indicators show that. The atmosphere is super hostile. Leadership trust is low. Real estate is way more. Staff or people generally more tired. I heard a phrase somebody used called the Sunday scaries. I had never heard that prior to, before 2020, but people feeling like, man, I got to get home. Even if I'm working from home, I got to get home because Monday's coming. There's way more unchurched, way more people who are not biblically literate at all. So there's just so many changes. That's just a few. And so in our season right now of a lot of growth and a lot of excitement, we're taking nothing for granted, and we're taking no one for granted. We know that it's God who gives increase, and it's God who grows things, and we give him all the glory, and we're quick to do that. I think as leaders, though, we have to observe where we're contributing to what God's doing, and how we are diligent in the waiting time, and how we're picking the harvest, if you will. And so going back to this growing up, right now we're thriving. I really believe that. More salvations, more growth, more baptisms, higher attendance than ever before. A lot of it has been seeds we've planted over the last 3 years. And it's 2024 now. We're just really seeing this harvest. We've been very diligent over the past 3 years in participation with the Lord. And so how did we do this? You know, what is contributing to the now growth? So I wrote these 4 things down that we focused on, okay, over the last several years. These are the 4 things we focused on. I think they can help you. I hope they can help you. And I think you've got to apply this where it fits for you. For us, in our context, this is what we worked on. So here's the first one, okay? The last few years, coming out of the great interruption, number 1, we got younger, or we worked to get younger. So I mentioned briefly that my wife and I have 2 children now. And again, prior, 1 kid, a younger kid, more energy. Then we had a second kid, and then we totally lost all energy. And then naturally in our ministry, what are we going to gravitate to? Probably 5 to 10 years younger, 5 to 10 years older. And so what our church naturally was going to do is we were naturally going to grow in young families. And so our kids ministry has really exploded. And so that's natural, particularly younger families that maybe haven't quite got to youth group yet. Well, all that to say, we were recognizing that, man, we're actually not as young as a ministry anymore. And we need to address this or we will quickly become irrelevant. And so again, I'm 38 at the time of this recording. And okay, our church is about 10 years old, and man, it was so easy to get young, but now it's not. So we had to be very intentional, and I know some people are watching this going, what do you mean? You're young church. No, we have to be intentional about that. So what did I do? I put my best person, my best staff member over Next Gen. I put my wife over it because I know I can trust her the most, and she is the best leader we have. And so I put my wife over youth, young adults, kids, to put attention on these things because I know she was going to pay the most. This is her baby and my baby. Going to pay the most attention and put the most energy around Next Gen to fix it, to get things started. And now we are being, and that's flowing everywhere into social media. It's flowing everywhere into stage time. We've started a young adults ministry that's really going well. We're making shift in youth ministry. We're now seeing families who are bringing their high schoolers to church, which wasn't happening before. Got a lot of kids. We're putting energy. We had to get younger because every day that goes, we get older, which means we have to be intentional about getting younger. I believe, and you see this all through history, I can be a 50 or 60-year-old preacher, and as long as I have young people around me and platformed, I can still be relevant and reach people. Yeah. So we've got younger. That's been intentional. Here's number 2. We worked on getting secure. So we got secure. Got younger. Number 2, got secure. And so what I mean by got secure is, as a church plant early on, it didn't feel like super important that we found a building or hurried up. We rented. We chose to go further faster and launch sites and rent and complicate our lives. Some of that, on some level, I wish we would have gotten a large building before we did some of that. But hindsight's 2020. It doesn't matter. Here we are. But we came out of the great interruption and we started saying to ourselves, we've got to put our feet in the ground or we're going to have problems. Yeah. So we launched our first campaign called Here to Stay, where we've been working on putting our mission in front of people and trying to buy buildings and or get into long-term rental situations, 5 physical locations at this moment, which we believe we can do way more. But we felt like we had to pause on continuing to plant and multiply so that we could put our feet and secure our feet. Now, in the midst of some of this, we did multiply in some areas, and then we strategically removed and merged in other areas. And so we spent time getting secure and raising money, additional funds that we've needed. We've rallied around our vision, and we've told people that even if you're moving, you can still be a part, because a lot of people moved If you're in a major city or a tough environment, it could be a far rural environment. It could be an urban environment. A lot of people left these environments during this great interruption and moved to a more suburb or a more secure location. So we've had to cast this vision. Even if you're moving, you can still be a part of what God's doing here. So we've had to put a focus on getting secure facilities, secure mission, having a long-term vision, a long-term thought process. This is way bigger and way beyond us. And helping everybody, our staff, our church, everybody think long-term. Do we want all of our work over the last several years to be wasted because someone could kick us out, something crazy could happen, or do we want to try to put some things, some levers, some systems in place that secures the work we've done over the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to where it lives beyond us? And that's where a lot of us are thinking about right now. Number 3, we got clearer. We got clearer. So what did we do to help spur some of this growth? Again, we give God all the glory. We just partnered with him. We were diligent in the waiting. We sowed a lot of seeds. We worked on getting younger. We worked on getting secure. And then third, we are working on and we've worked on getting clearer. I think this has been a huge growth contributor. When you get clear, here's what happens. You lose and you, it's the right word for it. You kind of cut away, if you will, all right, before you grow. Some people don't like your clarity, and that's okay. And this is where you need tough skin so that when people leave because they don't like your clarity or when people don't fit because they don't like your clarity, you have to understand it's part of the process. It's part of the purifying process, right? You want to clean your window, you got to get rid of the fog. You got to get rid of the dirt. It's just part of it. And so, all right, so here's areas we got clear in. We got clear in our theology and our positions on things. We got clearer on, particularly with our leadership and who we bring on. We basically, maybe early on or before, we would maybe let more people be in leadership that probably shouldn't have been in leadership. We were probably not following the Bible. We were maybe laying hands on people too suddenly, and it was biting us in the butt. And so we're willing to go with gaps for a while, and that's okay because we wanted the right people in the right on the bus. And through that, everybody sat on different seats on the bus, and that's okay. But we've gotten clearer about our positions. We've gotten clear about our theology. We've gotten bolder in our preaching and clearer in our preaching. And again, for a while, it hurt a little bit. There's some people that didn't make it, but it was better for us. We were clear even in what we needed to do. And so we created this language called backup quarterbacks. And this backup quarterback language is like, hey, as leaders, we give things away. And so now our leadership, we're doing less and we're clear about, hey, we need more backup quarterbacks, right? We need more. We need to empower people more. Our roles as leaders, as elders, as staff pastors, our roles are to equip leaders, develop leaders, give things away. We've gotten more clear on our style and our standard. So style being is that we're a spirit-filled church and we're not afraid of our charismatic history. We are fostering atmospheres for the Holy Spirit, prayer meetings, worship. Even in our own staff, we are taking time to pray, to listen for the Lord. We're making no apologies and no bones about who we are. And also our standard. This is our standard of excellence. This is what we want. We'll do less so we can have more. Our standard is important. One of the challenges too is our mission, the Block Church, to revive every block. Well, we've had to pause. I mentioned this earlier, but we had to pause on multiplying for a time, which hurts and it stinks, but keeping the purpose in front of people going, we will multiply again. But right now, because we're getting more secure, we've got to be clear that we're pausing on some of this so that we can secure our future and you're clear that at one point, someday, we're asking you to move out of your auditorium and go down the block to another auditorium or help us start another location. So again, we've gotten younger, we've gotten more secure, we've gotten clearer about a lot of things. And lastly, we got better. We've gotten better. One of the big areas we've gotten better at is our prayer culture. We had an individual come in, really give us some real insight, prophetic insight on the need for intercessors. And it's probably taken us over a year to develop this infrastructure, but as we did, we have felt and sensed we have gotten better because of it. Yeah. Prayer culture has shifted and changed a lot, and it has impacted us greatly. Yeah. We really lean into the art of the wrestle. That's what I like to call it. It's the art of wrestling. And in every area of leadership, and this is hardest when you're producing content, video content, graphic content, when you are producing art content, writing music, is not settling and not being satisfied. And this is a hard thing to do because you got a lot of things on your plate, but wrestling to get the best content and the best product that helps people, grows what you're doing, it's a wrestling match, and you got to be willing to fight it. And so we've gotten better at that. We have been all in on big things and carefully managing and cutting away things that maybe don't contribute any longer. Yeah. And so an example might be, all right, hey, we used to feel like we used to die on this hill or maybe this event, but this event, actually, it's not the end of the world. And so now we're cutting this away and we're going to go bigger on something else or do something different. Yeah. And so some of it is we're doing less to accomplish more. We're working on our margin. If there are areas we can cut so that we can have margin and not waste, so that we can invest bigger into facilities, big events, things that really move the needle. I think a lot, we used to think, man, this moves the needle. We're dying on this. And then we just realized, it didn't. And so we have been slow to commit to certain things, people, positions. We have held our structure in low regard. And what I mean by that is if the structure bends, if the structure breaks, we're going to move it and we're going to change. We're going to adjust. We're going to be flexible. I had an old pastor friend tell me that blessed are the flexible, for they will not be bent out of shape. And we've tried to be flexible in all of this. Another area that we've gotten better in is we hired a CEO. Excuse me, that's me. We hired a CFO. Yeah. That's really, it's helped us a lot. And I don't even think we have fully walked into all the changes we've needed to make, but we've had to really consider there's 20 employees. We need some element of human resources and financial management. And this was getting way beyond any of our ability to understand or know. And we made a lot of mistakes. But I think as we've done this, it's helped us get better and it's helping us get better. Yeah. And so all that to say, we want to be clear that God's timing, especially in church ministry and the growth in church ministry, we don't know when God's going to pour out and open up. All we can do is be diligent and serve and work on the things we know we have to work on. Yeah. And the Lord will bring the increase at the right time. We're experiencing that right now. And as we look back, we're going, okay, here's some things that we did to partner with the Lord that we felt his prompting and that we practiced. We got younger, we got more secure, we got clearer, and we keep getting better. I hope that this episode helps. If it does, send us a message, comment. We want to help however we can. Thanks for watching this episode of Leadership in Tough Places called Growing Up.